Hi, I'm Samuel C. Spitali, author of How to Win the War on Truth. In this video, we'll explore the truth about climate change. The science of climate change goes back more than a century. In 1896, a Swedish chemist named Svante Arrhenius first theorized that burning fossil fuels could increase levels of carbon dioxide in Earth's atmosphere, which could raise the planet's temperature, thereby creating a greenhouse effect. In 1938, an English engineer named Guy Callendar discovered that global temperatures had indeed been rising since the Industrial Revolution, just as Arrhenius had predicted. 20 years later, in 1958, an American geochemist named Charles David Keeling proved unequivocally that CO2 levels had also been rising, confirming that the greenhouse effect was indeed real. By 1977, the science had become undeniable, and a committee of concerned scientists from Exxon, Shell, Mobil, and Texaco, acting on behalf of the American Petroleum Institute, tried to raise the alarm, admitting that burning fossil fuels was the primary cause of global warming. As the panel of scientists organized to curb greenhouse gas emissions, Big Oil disbanded the panel and replaced it with a global climate coalition, a lobbying group whose objective was not to solve the problem, but to suppress it. In the 1990s alone, the group spent $63 million fighting climate science, and they didn't stop there. To undermine the growing body of evidence, Big Oil followed the playbook used by tobacco companies to deny the harmful effects of smoking cigarettes. First, cast doubt on the established science. Second, fund dubious research to offer the appearance of a counterargument. And third, do it all via front groups to hide the money trail. So Big Oil funded public policy front groups such as the Advancement of Sound Science Coalition and the American Energy Alliance, and think tanks like the Competitive Enterprise Institute and the Heartland Institute. Big Oil even hired the same PR firms that Big Tobacco used to deceive the public, namely APCO Worldwide and Burson Marsteller. Together, these entities created so much doubt and confusion around climate science, it stalled the debate and impeded legislative action. In 2002, political consultant Frank Luntz presented a document titled Winning the Global Warming Debate to conservative politicians friendly with the fossil fuel industry. It was full of suggestions for how to mislead the public with clever language, and stressed that there was a lack of certainty around the issue. In fact, the very term climate change was a framing tactic used to downplay the danger and keep consumers inert, as it's less alarming than global warming. But there was never much of a debate among scientists, as every peer-reviewed study over a 20-year period confirmed that climate change is real and is human-made. Of 13,950 peer-reviewed climate articles published between 1991 and 2012, 13,926 confirmed those findings. Over 97% of climate scientists across the globe agree. To put it another way, if you took 100 pregnancy tests and 97 came back positive, but 3 came back negative, you can pretty much bet it's time to buy a baby carriage. But that hasn't stopped the oil industry and their political allies from misrepresenting the issue, like Koch Industries, who funded at least 92 documented climate denial front groups by last count. Koch Industries is a private multinational corporation whose primary business is refining oil. The Kochs have spent more money to undermine climate science than even ExxonMobil. Over the last 2 decades, the fossil fuel industry has spent a whopping $4 billion on climate change denial, and studies show their propaganda has been extremely successful. In 2006, 77% of Americans believed in global warming. 2 years later, 71% did. By 2009, the number was down to 57%. Today, 72% of Americans believe in global warming, but only 49% think it's caused by human activity. This is despite the fact that in the last 10 years, we've seen 9 of the hottest years in human history, with the Middle East now seeing temperatures as high as 130 degrees Fahrenheit, while in the US, record high temperatures are now twice that of record lows, and the concentration of greenhouse gases in Earth's atmosphere are now at their highest level in 420,000 years. In the last 3 decades alone, climate catastrophes have doubled. We are now living through an increase in tornadoes, droughts, hurricanes, floods, wildfires, sinkholes, and mosquito-borne illnesses, as well as depleted soil fertility, depleted nutrients in food, and mass immigration. Deserts are now expanding at a rate of 1,400 square miles a year. Wildfires have increased 7-fold. Floods have tripled in the last 15 years. Coastal wetlands have eroded by 50% in the last 50 years. And nearly half the species on Earth are now experiencing local extinctions on every continent and in every ocean. By 2050, the World Bank predicts that over 140 million people will be forced to become climate refugees, and that cities like Miami and New Orleans will likely be underwater. Since 1988, a mere 100 companies have been responsible for 70% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions, and they've made little effort to reduce pollution, curb consumption, or convert to renewable energy. Instead, they've funded climate denial propaganda, putting corporate profits ahead of the planet, our health, and the future of the human race. To read more, check out my book, How to Win the War on Truth, available online and at your favorite booksellers. Thanks to Alan Wincup for all the illustrations, and thank you for watching.